the Nerd Show. Podcast Radio. She's a nerd, he's a nerd, talking about what we know. Nerd Podcast Radio. We're all nerds, we're all nerds, buckle up, cause here we go. Nerd Podcast Radio. Welcome everybody to the Nerd Podcast Radio. Welcome everybody to the Nerd Podcast Radio.
Welcome to Nerd Podcast Radio, your nerd home away from home. Welcome to Nerd Podcast Radio, and I'm Super Vegan Brian, joined by Courtesy Smart Burka.
Hola.
David the about the third.
Hey, everybody.
Fuck privacy, but only for David.
For David.
Look, I came to terms with that a long time ago, okay?
It's probably the most fucked up thing we've ever done on the show.
Yep.
Because you weren't even a host before we basically opened you up to doxing.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
It's too late now.
I think when it happened, I reached out to you and I was like, we did this thing.
Yeah, no worries. It is what it is. It's already out there now, and I've got protections in place. So
what do we? I don't have a topic. I failed as a producer, and I don't have anything planned. What do we do?
You had one job, Brian. You had one job.
Yeah. What do we do when we don't have anything planned, Erica? What's our fallback?
Oh, our fallback? Our fallback is to ask ChatGPT. That's our fallback.
Yeah. So we've only done that a couple of times before.
Yeah.
But this time we're going to do it live. We're going to ask on the show. We'll see how that goes. But first,
we're going to talk about What's Nerdy with You, where we all talk about the nerdiest thing we've done in the last few weeks, and we vote using the patented Mike Myler widget system.
the recording errored out there for a bit. The words were different.
Are they? I don't even know anymore.
Oh, you used the blooper reel one, man.
Let's normal format. I go last, so I'm just going to use the order that Zoom is presenting to me. So, David, what was nerdy with you?
What was nerdy with me this last week? Let's see. Doctor's visits, work, my Strahd game on. I'm running a group through Curse of Strahd in 5th Ed on Thursday nights, and or every other Thursday night. And they've just gotten to the point of where they are getting to meet Strahd himself, and it's going to be interesting. I'm playing him a lot less like a lot less like your Bram Stoker type, and more like your Alucard from the Abridged series, Hellsing Ultimate Abridged.
How early is Strahd introduced in Curse of Strahd?
Oh, he's mentioned all over the place. The people there all know who he is and fear him, but he doesn't actually like show up until like a third of the way through it or something, unless you, for some reason, you have him do it. But I haven't. Because
I know Castle Ravenloft, like he shows up in different forms like a million times before you like meet Strahd.
Yeah, no, they were still running around the 3 villages and trying to do quests. And they just hit level 5, I think.
We just worked for Strahd.
Yes,
that's what we did.
Yeah. Erica's evil campaign.
See, these guys are trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because they still don't really know how they ended up in Barovia. And
yeah, we all decided at some point we didn't care how we ended up in Barovia.
Yeah.
But if this is where we were, then we better be the ones in charge. And
right.
Versus in charge, we needed to work for the guy that was in charge. So then we were the guy that was in charge, and they got strong enough to overthrow the guy that was in charge, and then we ran Barovia.
How you do it. Until he comes back. But yeah, that's how you do it. No, so they were facing a group of evil druids and were getting their butts kicked, and were actually almost about to die. Yeah, almost about to die. So Strahd shows up, kills all the druids, and be like, no, if anyone's going to kill you, it's going to be me. Hi.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're like, but we got to go do this thing. He's like, I'm not stopping you, go. Yeah, they weren't quite sure how to deal with the villain that isn't actively trying to murder them at the moment. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm the bad guy, but yeah, you want to chat? Let's chat.
That's fair.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's pretty much the nerdiest thing I did this week. The last couple of weeks. How about you, Erica?
Man,
Right?
So like we were talking about last week or the week before where I had a meeting at work and then somebody overheard me talking to somebody else about a book series, The Fourth Wing, that I then had to read, right? So that I knew what I was talking about with them, even though I had no intentions of reading it. They just assumed I had read it because this person was talking to me about it, which is fine because I've listened to it. Do you guys remember me telling you this? Do I need to recap everything?
Yeah, no. I have more to add because your nerdy thing led me to a conversation that week. So keep going. But feel
So
free to recap it for quickly for listeners.
yeah. So quick recap. I had a thing at work. I was talking to somebody that I always talk to books about, and he and I had been talking about series that we're going to get to at some point, or maybe didn't have interest in. And he was talking to me about the Fourth Wing series. The third book had just come out. I had told him previously that, I wasn't super interested in it. But everybody seemed to like it. I'll eventually pick it up. So he was just telling me about it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was just listening to him talk to me about how he's in the third book. Well, another girl on my team that I had just met that day like overheard us talking, and then she jumped in and she was like super excited about it. She's like, oh my God, I didn't know you read that series. And then we started talking about books we read. And I didn't have the heart to tell her that I hadn't read the series because everything everybody had told me about it, while I understand that it was good, it was basically Divergent with dragons. And I had already read Divergent, and I thought Divergent was a great series. I just didn't want to like do this whole recap, Stormy's sexy, we're different than everybody else romance kind of trope that happens a lot of fantasy. I'm not a big fan of that because, as we all know, I'm not a fan of romance for whatever reason. I don't like it. So anyways, I then felt obligated to read the books because this girl is on my team and she's really nice and I like her and I don't want to be a bitch. And I'd probably eventually get to it anyway. So I made a point to read them. Found out I have Kindle Unlimited. So like the first two books were free anyway. So I was like, cool. All right. So I finished the first one. I'm halfway through the second one. And I'm almost caught up to have to read the third one. So I guess that was my nerdy thing, is that I bit the bullet and read the book. Thank you, babe. So yeah, there we go. That was my thing. The other nerdy thing, I guess, is that even though I had pneumonia, my wonderful husband had this fantastic romantic weekend planned for us.
Ooh.
And we got to stay in this wonderful mid-century modern motel.
Ooh.
It was really nice. I loved it. And he took me out to a wonderful dinner. And we went to this huge bookstore and spent like 3 hours just in the bookstore reading books and buying books. So that was another nerdy thing that we did. That's how, I don't know, that's my idea of romance. My husband taking me to a bookstore and letting me buy books.
Aw.
That's good. I get it. I dig it.
Yeah, this whole like, oh, we're so passionate, we can't keep our hands off of each other. Like, we are so different. Like, all that. It's just like,
I love how you defaulted to a French accent for that.
yeah, because that's the romance language. French is a romance language.
I have never heard you do a French accent before. That was one of the best things ever.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, so anyways, like I do like, that's not love. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take, you know what? We're gonna go off on a small tangent, Brian. I know we're in What's Nerdy with You. That is not love. That is lust. I don't care whether it's a movie or a book or anything like that. Love is accepting a person for who they are, trusting them, respecting them, being honest with them, and being there to hold them when they're throwing up because they're sick in the middle of the night. It's being able to do whatever it is that they need because you love them, no matter how gross, boring, or disgusting it is. Love is sitting on the couch watching a fucking TV show that you both like until you both fall asleep. That is love. All that other stuff is fucking lust. And while lust has a place, don't get me wrong, everybody likes sex. Well, most everybody likes sex. That is not what love is. And so that's why I hate romantic comedies. That's why I hate romantic books. Like they always describe it as this, they always describe lust and try to sell it to people as love. And that's
No,
not what
you're
it
watching the wrong romantic comedies.
is. Deadpool was an excellent romantic comedy.
I agree.
It was the best romantic comedy I've ever seen. It was real. It was raw. It had a ton of sex in it, but it wasn't about the sex.
Well, there's
So,
also like Love Actually that hits it from all sorts of different angles.
yeah, there's a lot of problems with that too, because a lot of what they say is love is not love. 'Cause
But
you
the
wouldn't
point
lie
is
for-
that love is messy, right?
Yes,
That
love is messy.
Most people don't have a good grasp on it, or they have a grasp on it that's so different than me that it wouldn't feel it's love for them, but it's not love for another person.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, that was my wonderful romantic nerdy weekend where my husband took me to buy books and took
That
me
was
out.
fantastic. Some of my best romantic memories with Heather involve bookstores. We have a photo of me sitting in a bookstore that we went to in Ohio.
Oh, okay. Which one?
In what's it called? The yellow place, the hippie
Oh,
town?
Yellow Springs.
Yellow Springs, yeah.
Okay, the hippie town.
Yeah, there's a
Brian?
bookstore in there that has like the piles of books on the floor next to the bookshelves.
And the cat. The
Yeah.
cat. Yeah. Every bookstore needs a cat. I'm sorry. That's what was wrong with Borders and Barnes and Noble and everything. There was no cats. You should have just had cats and everything would have been fine.
I went on a weird rabbit hole where someone was talking about how every tea shop needs a cat, and they were from the UK. And then I went on this Google rabbit hole of how many tea shops in the UK have cats, and was like, there's like a tradition of cat in the tea shop or cat in the shop thing in the UK. And I was like, I want that.
Well, it dates back to the medieval times when they were vermin. They're verminators.
Uh-huh.
So
They kept the rodents and stuff out of your tea.
So shops would have a cat mascot.
Yeah.
Where did the Dalmatians and firehouses come from?
I don't know. I don't know the story behind that.
Now we have to find that. That'll be my rabbit hole this week.
It wouldn't surprise me if it has to do with the back in the day they were, protecting the equipment or something. But I don't know the actual origins behind it.
I bet it's like one firehouse had a dog and everybody was like, look at that dog. We all need dogs. That's probably.
That Dalmatian, there was a famous Dalmatian at a firehouse. Like it would be in parades and stuff. And then it became like a thing.
I guarantee that's probably what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It might even be that was the only one that ever did it. And it turned it into a thing.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Dalmatians are associated with firefighters. Historically, they were used to run alongside horse-drawn fire engines, helping clear a path for the horses and keeping them calm during emergency situations due to their natural affinity with horses.
Oh, wow.
Essentially acting as the coach dog for the firefighting teams.
Good deal.
It all comes back to cars are new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing. In the span of like 20 years, we went from a society where everyone had horses to a society where only rich people have horses and everyone has cars.
Good point.
It was only rich people had cars and everyone had horses, and now only rich people have horses and everyone has cars.
Yeah, and poor people used to just eat fruits and vegetables because that's what they could grow, and now only rich people get to eat fruits and vegetables because they're the only ones that can afford them.
Yeah.
All right, Brian.
Gonna have to add eggs to that list soon.
Yeah.
So we my first nerdy thing is we're downsizing our house a bit because we've got so many pets now. So we're gonna downsize our big dining room table. We have a big, long, like 8-foot long butcher block dining room table, and we want to downsize it to like a small table because we don't entertain that often.
I was gonna say, you're not having the 10-person dinner parties every week?
And if we do entertain, we can use folding tables. We don't need to have a big giant dining room table taking up so much room. It just gets covered in stuff anyway. So we went around, and what was funny is mid-century modern is really popular here right now, and it doesn't really work for how we designed our house. So that got a little frustrating because every place had mid-century modern furniture.
That's what you meant. I was like, what the fuck is mid-century modern?
I love mid-century modern. It's one of my favorite styles. That and
I am such not a style nerd. I don't even know what
if
that
you
means,
want to,
what it looks, what the I couldn't tell you the
It's
difference.
about the architecture. I like architecture. That's why I know what they are.
Are
Okay.
you familiar with Fallout at all, David?
Kind of.
Whenever
Yeah.
they showed the old houses and like the furniture in them, it Fallout's very inspired by mid-century modern design.
Oh, from like the 50s and shit. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like anytime you see like a piece of
So
furniture that's like that
neon
50s
colors,
style,
chrome everywhere, neon colors.
or like
Neon is, but it's brighter colored. Yes.
Yeah.
or just the shape of things where it's like a table would look like one like an hourglass shape going down rather than the old style of furniture where it was like
It's when you could buy a
table
fridge in
legs.
avocado.
Mm-hmm.
That became a color.
Yeah, avocado was a very common color. There were some really putrid colors.
I like the pink. The pink that they had way back then was it was so perfect. It wasn't too bright. It was a very soft, stylized.
It was similar to Pepto-Bismol, but it wasn't as muted. It had a nicer pink than Pepto-Bismol,
Yeah, it was a nicer pink than Pepto-Bismol. Yeah.
but it wasn't like a super bright hot pink.
No,
Dusty pink is a good way to describe it.
it is. Dusty pink is a good way to describe it. Yeah.
So we found this furniture store, and it was like we got this recommendation for it. It was called something like Up Class Consignment, and I was like, it's gonna be expensive. And Heather was like, nah, it's consignment. It's where people get rid of stuff. And I'm like,
It's gonna be expensive.
it's gonna be crazy. It was. We got to see some of the coolest furniture, and I couldn't imagine anyone buying any of it.
That's why it's all still there in
Because there was a bed frame that was like handmade with carvings of like bears in the posts. It was sort of like I kept on asking the question, what kind of house would support that? I'm like imagining somebody like some rich person buying like a hunting lodge style house in Alaska, and they have this giant hand carved bed frame delivered. I looked at this thing and I was like, somebody made this. Somebody's grandfather made this bed frame.
Mm-hmm.
The one that made us both laugh was this like rustic style table where the chairs had like branches growing out of the back of them.
Interesting.
It was very what you would imagine like somebody who's really into Arizona decor. And the idea of, I think this looks very Southwestern, even though it's not genuinely Southwestern at all. And they end up with this super ugly table.
Mm.
So yeah, I nerded out of that. I had fun, even though we didn't buy a dining room table. We're gonna go to Restore. We're gonna go to Habitat Humanity Restore and see if we can find a table because we're setting a $300 budget, and you
Oh,
can't.
that's hard to do.
I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to be the one advocating for it, but do you guys have an IKEA up there?
The table we have is actually an IKEA table, and
I'm sure
I-
they have a smaller version.
I want to find IKEA right now didn't have everything is square right now, and we wanted to get a round table with a leaf and couldn't find a good one. Even the one at IKEA was a little expensive. So
Okay.
yeah, and if you find a good used table, they're usually pretty solid. So I'm patient. We'll just keep going to the thrift stores and seeing what we can find. And then other than that, I finished my first week of the 75 hard challenge. I had to do an hour and a half of exercise every day, which I had let myself get much more out of shape than I thought I had. So it felt really good. I'm not sore anymore. The third day I was very sore. I'd gone for 2 long walks. I think I hadn't started the challenge in the last episode, and I went through it, and it's all been managing the time. And the hardest things to do have been just squeezing in the 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outside. Both of them can be outside, but at least one of the 45-minute workouts has to be outside. I've just been walking. I figured it's been a long time since I've had regular exercise, so I've been walking. And then one day, I didn't manage to get a walk in at work, so I went for a walk when I got home, and then by the time it was time to exercise after dinner, it was very dark out, so I just went on, and it was raining like crazy, so I went on my cross trainer for 45 minutes. And it was the first time I'd used the elliptical that we bought.
Nice.
Good for you.
Finally
We
getting some
got-
use. It's not just a clothes hanger anymore.
But it gives me hope that we'll find a good dining room table because that elliptical was only $50 and it's a very nice one.
There you go. That's how you do it.
We just got to find someone that wants to upsize their dining room table so we can trade.
I mean, I know you have to be careful when you do it, but Craigslist might not be a bad idea up there either.
We might find something on Facebook Marketplace too. We
Yeah.
found some good listings already.
Yeah. Although, you
And-
know what, Brian? I think it's kind of funny you're talking about that store because that store might actually be where, like, I would be one of those people to buy stuff because Chris and I have already talked, and I have decided that when our kids move out and I can have nice furniture, I am going to get a crushed purple velvet couch. And that's going to be my couch in my living room. And I have a crushed velvet couch.
They had a crushed velvet couch, but it was red. It was that maroon color that most crushed velvet furniture is.
Yeah,
Hard to
no,
find a
I
purple
want
one.
purple. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm on the
you're
lot.
probably gonna have that custom made.
I want to
I'm
know
okay
if you
with that.
remember. I want to know if you remember Erica. So we're looking around, and they had the piece of furniture that I've always fantasized about owning.
A race
I've
car bed?
grown up out of it. That I know it's not practical, and I probably will never have one. I don't really want one anymore.
Waterbed?
No, I owned a waterbed.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was in the 90s. I was one of those people who had one. Erica, so what's the piece of furniture that I looked at? And I told Heather when we were there, is like, I used to really want one of these, and I've grown out of it.
Sword rack.
Do you know? I have a sword rack right next to me.
I'm just spitballing because I have no fucking clue.
Brian's asking me to pull memories from way back in my head.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Pool table.
I got nothing, Brian. Tell me.
Chase.
Oh, at Shays Lounge.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Chase. I always talked about wanting one. You know what? I think I grew up out of it is because my dad had one, and after I wanted one, and it was nice, but I was like, boy, this takes up a lot of living room real estate, and that's when I kind of was like, yeah, I don't really need that, but I got to enjoy the one he had. They had
I
a
haven't grown out of
sectional.
it. I want to chase.
Yeah, they had a sectional where there was a chase at the end of the sectional.
Oh,
and
those are nice. Yeah.
I could fall asleep in seconds on that chase.
My buddy Grant, when he used to have his apartment with his sister up in Vegas, they had a couch like that, and I would sleep on that Shays Lounge when I went up there and hung out with them. Oh, it was nice.
Yeah, I still want a chase lounge. I have not grown out of it, but I told Chris, I was like, we are not making our house any nicer than it is until our kids don't live here anymore.
Yeah.
They destroy everything. I love them, but they're tiny
No,
people.
but that's true of all children. They destroy everything they touch, one way or another.
Yeah. My mom has been trying to get me a new dining room table and chairs. And the one we have, I got when I was pregnant, used off Facebook Marketplace, and it's a high top. It's a high top table, 6 high top chairs, and it's got a leaf. It pulls out, right? So we could all game around the table if we want to. We just pop the leaf out because the leaf isn't even like something you have to store. It like folds in under it, and
Oh,
then
nice.
it fall out. Yeah.
Those are cool.
But it's tore up. I mean, there's paint on the table from when the kids have painted that I can't get off. I mean, the protectant, that shiny protectant layer, whatever. Like, I mean, it's gross. I mean, it's not gross like as in dirty. It's not dirty. It's just like it's been through the shit. And my mom
It's the correct term is aged.
aged.
It has aged.
You know, it's got nicks in it because my husband wears essentially, Brian can tell you, a Batman belt. He wears a belt that has so many things on it.
All the sharp points and edges, yeah, rubs.
Yeah,
and...
he's got you name it. He's got a flashlight on there. He's got knives. He's got, you know, he is a Boy Scout. He is ready, and it's all on his Batman belt.
That's how you do it.
But because his belt's so big, when he sits at the chairs, like the wooden chairs, it dings the chairs. Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's dinged up. It's got paint on it. It's scratched. The clear coat's gone off of it.
So the correct term to be used in describing this is used. It is a used table.
Highly used. And my mom's always like, well, let's get you a nicer table. And I go, no. Not that I don't appreciate your offer, but anything you get me is going to look like this in 5 years. So no, it's solid wood. It
Keep it
works
until it
for
falls
us.
apart, at least until
Exactly.
Rowan's in high school. Then maybe things will be appreciated a little bit more. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lee moves out and Rowan's in high school and is
Mhm.
barely at our house anymore because she's hanging out with her friends. Like
Yeah,
at that point, maybe
she won't
I'll
be a little
get
ball of
her
chaos.
out.
She won't necessarily be a little ball of chaos anymore.
Yeah. Like at that point, like even like our couch, we got it, my mom actually got it for us as a Christmas present 5 years ago. And
Mhm.
she still jumps on it. There's a
Mhm.
hole. There's a hole in the couch where she
Ooh,
jumped through
yeah.
through the fabric. I mean, the springs and all are still there, but she jumped through the fabric. So then we had to get, have you ever seen those things they put on platform beds to reinforce like a bed? It like folds out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we got one of those to put under our couch cushions so that
Oh,
that you don't fall through the couch when you sit on it because she put a hole in the
damn.
She's ripped. She has like, cause she does like
Oh,
somersaults
yeah.
on the couch and everything. She's ripped the couch. I've had to go and hand sew the cushions back together a few
Mhm.
times. Like I
Yeah.
don't need nice things, David. That's what I'm getting at right
No,
now.
100% I get it. And that's the thing is once they're gone, you can then, be able to start appreciating nice things because you'll be able to have them for a while and not have to worry about them getting chewed up and spit out at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's the same reason I can't do dogs. Like I know dogs are sweet,
Yeah, but
but
they
they chew on
destroy
everything.
everything they touch.
Yeah. My cats don't scratch anything. And it might have to be because anytime my cats, like when we first get a new cat and they
Hmm.
reach up to scratch something, I go, and then I swipe at them
Mm,
like I'm a cat. And they
right.
go, oh,
Not supposed to do that. Okay.
not that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you drill it into them early enough, they actually get
Yeah.
it and understand. Dogs are just dumb. And
Yeah.
don't
So
get me
my
wrong, dogs are awesome, but they are dumb.
They are. I love dogs are so sweet and they're so like they love you with all of their
Oh,
heart. Do our
absolutely.
cats love us? Sure. Do they love us with all their hearts? No, not remotely.
I
Like if it
mean,
was between us and them, the cats would be like,
look, if we didn't
pick a
feed
team.
if we didn't feed them regularly, they'd want nothing to do with us. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had I had to hold and comfort my cat this morning
why?
Why?
because I got up this morning, opened the garage, went outside to vape, and then I heard my cat crying, and I looked, and Momo had come in the garage, and she was soaking wet. She'd been outside all night,
Oh no.
Oh no, Mama.
You're so mean, Brian. What did Momo
and
do? What did Momo
probably
do?
between me exercising every day and Heather finally getting a good night's sleep because she had a massage yesterday. We did not
That'll
wake
do
up
it.
because Momo normally, if locked outside, will climb up our screen and let us know it's time to come in, and we didn't wake up.
Mm.
So soaking wet cat.
Oh no.
So I sat on the couch holding a soaking wet cat with her purring, and she eventually went, "Okay, I'm done," and left me. And I went and got a towel and went looking for her. And when I found her, she was dry
Sounds about right.
because cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because cat.
She groomed herself for 3 seconds and dried off.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, she just wanted to be sure you didn't hate her.
And I had to put batteries in her food bowl this morning because her food bowl wasn't opening and closing.
Maybe why she went outside.
Yeah. Have I ever told you guys about her food bowl?
Probably, but not
It's
that I
tied.
remember.
It's tied to her chip implant.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So
Okay.
the dogs can't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, and it's funny because if I left that food bowl open, the dogs won't acknowledge that it exists because they think they can't open it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Um,
our one of our cats is getting really fat, and I got to figure out what to do because he's a big boy,
With
but
cats,
like,
sometimes it's a metabolic change and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
yeah.
You just gotta
Well,
monitor when the weight gets high, you just have to monitor your nutrition so you don't end up with kidney problems and stuff.
well, I have them on like super healthy food. Trust me, it's expensive. The vet told us to give it to them, but I don't
Is it
know.
is it
He,
Royal Canin?
I don't know. Chris picks it up.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to get back to you on what it's called. He picks it up from there's only one store in the area that carries it, so he picks it up from there.
I forget the stand-up comedian, but someone does a bit about having a fat cat and people commenting, man, you got a fat cat. He goes, I know. What do you think I'm not doing? I'm not taking him to the cat gym every day. I mean, what? We
Well,
feed,
yes,
yo, well,
yes.
what do you feed him? Food. We feed him once a day. If he goes outside and eats 5 mice, he's not going to come in and not eat his food.
Yeah,
He's a cat. What the fuck do you want me to do?
I know, I know. And our cats are indoor, outdoor cats, but it's
Right.
winter. And this is what I'm thinking because he wasn't this heavy in the spring and summer. He was getting outside, he was getting exercise, he was chasing shit down,
Yeah.
right? I think what it is the cats come in for the winter, and my other two just don't eat as much as he does. He's always been like a chunker. So I think what it is he's still eating the same amount, but
And
now
just,
he has no exercise.
yeah,
So
I'm sure that
hoping
has
he
something to do with
starts
it.
to lose it. Because I'm sitting in my recliner the other day, and I've got my recliner just, my feet are just popped up. I'm not leaning back at all. My feet are just popped up on the recliner, and he jumps on the back of my recliner, and he's so heavy that it pushed my recliner back. Like that's how heavy he is my recliner thought I was trying to lay back.
Oh God, that's funny. Yeah, he just wants you to be comfortable.
Well, he likes to sit up by my shoulders, especially when I'm in my chair or my recliner,
Yeah.
because if I'm
My
eating,
one of my mom's cats does that too. She's got like 6 of them.
yeah, like especially when I'm eating, he sits like right there and he's like, "Hey, mom, hey, mom, hey, mom, hey, mom, I love you, mom. You want to give me some of that, mom?"
Yeah, no, my mom is slowly turning into a crazy cat lady. She's 2 away from getting the official title. She already has 6.
Okay, so eight is the next number.
One of the reasons we're downsizing our table is because we're adding animals to our zoo.
Yeah,
We're
no,
getting two kittens. We're
my
gonna get two
mom
kittens, yeah.
my mom and
Aw.
Manuel have quite a zoo. They've got dozens of fish. They've got several fish tanks. They've got, like I said, 6 cats. There's a small dog, a Chihuahua, named Peanut. There's a
When we got the cockatoo,
They've got
we
chickens.
made the mistake of going a little crazy when it came to getting stuff for the bird, and we
Mhm.
drove out to pick up this manzanita perch that the bird has used like 3 times. So we're gonna have we're putting that in the garage and replacing it with a cat, like an
Tree.
inside cattery thing.
Like a cat tree.
It's like it's a crate
Okay.
because we want the kittens to be introduced to the other animals with protection first.
Yeah,
Smart.
that's fair.
My stepdad went so far as to build a cat patio with access to the inside of the rest of the house. So they've got a bunch of stuff to play with in a screened off area on the porch.
Yeah, catio.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I swear they've got chickens. They're nuts. It's great.
We've
I love
been
them to
thinking
death. They're
about
crazy.
we've been thinking about getting a doggy door installed in one of our walls and putting a catio outside.
Mm.
Or a cat door, I guess it would be.
Well, what he did is he rigged up something to the window to where he put a board in the top of the window, but left an opening that the cats can get in and out.
Neat.
So
I've always wanted I don't think I'll ever do it, but I've always thought it was cool, those people who have the little walkways around the edges of the walls
Like
near
living
the
room?
ceiling,
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the cats can go all over the place using these little walkways, and there's like holes in walls so they can go between rooms on their own pathways. That's neat.
yeah.
It is neat.
Um,
I think we
I
need
think
to
we
vote,
need to
right?
vote. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're still playing the game. Shit.
Yeah.
This is I think this is the longest we've taken with this.
No,
to
that's
date.
not true at all.
It's been like
um,
45 minutes, man.
No, we've gone past 12. So we're 5 to 12 right now, so we're not the longest.
Okay.
I have notes on where we hit times.
Okay. Okay.
Erica, you're first. No, David, you're first. 4.
I give 2 to Erica and 2 to Brian.
Erica.
I give 3 to David and 1 to Brian, just because I love the Strahd story so much.
And I'm going to give all 4 to David.
Oh, wow. All right.
Hey,
Yay.
David wins.
Hey, thank you. No, get back in the closet. I won.
The widgets. Time to travel to the winner.
Frickin'
No, I won. So our topic is unknown, and
It
we
is.
need to we need to
Oh,
travel
right, we're
to
doing
the
that,
Oracle
yes.
of Delphi and say, please dispense our topic upon us. What does the Oracle of Delphi grant us? So what's the wording? What's the wording of the prompt? That's the best question for large language models.
Yes. Okay. So what I did is I said, give me ideas of topics to talk about on, and then I actually linked our podcast. I grabbed the link from Apple Store to our podcast there. And then it gave me like a rundown and said that oh, you talk about all the nerdy things that have to do with nerd culture. Here's several engaging ideas. So do you want them?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. It's still reasoning out some additional prompts I gave it afterwards. So we're going to give it a little bit of time. All right. So what it gave us for engaging topics ideas, the evolution of geek culture. Explore how nerd culture has transformed over the decades from niche interest to mainstream phenomenon.
Ooh, that's quite a thesis. I like that.
I know.
That's a good one.
Superhero universes. Dive into the stories behind Marvel, DC, and beyond. Discuss movie adaptations, comics, and the cultural impact of these iconic figures.
Oh, not that we haven't done that one before.
Yeah, I know, right? Sci-fi classic and modern hits. Compared beloved sci-fi series and films with today's emerging favorites. I kind of like that one. Gaming trends. Discuss the rise of esports, indie games, VR experience, and how gaming is reshaping storytelling as we know it. Fandom and community. Examine conventions, cosplay, and online communities, how they fuel creativity and create connection among nerds. We've done that before, I know.
Oh yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
Technology and pulp culture. Analyze how technological advances such as AI, AR, VR are being integrated into storytelling and everyday life, which is what we are doing right now. I just want to say that. That is literally what we are doing right now.
So, check. Okay.
Check. Nostalgia and retro trends. Look back at classic video games, old school comics, and vintage shows and compare that to the modern media inspiration.
Have we ever done a show like that? I mean, I have trouble realizing if
I don't know. I mean, I know I've
Tough.
talked about retro stuff before because I think we've done like the what did you grow up with kind of
Yeah,
topic.
but I think that's more about nostalgia. This is more about talking about how we see those influences and what they're doing today in media. So it's a little bit different.
I really like the evolution of nerd culture one.
Yeah, that's a good. I think that would be a great topic.
I think we can ask it. We can even ask it for what the question should be.
Okay. All right. Let me do that.
So
All right.
I had to spend when I've done this before, because like I've done it before the show, I had to spend a lot of time convincing the large language model that we're not an interview show. I had to be like, this is a roundtable conversation. It was like, ask your guest this. And I'm like, this is a roundtable conversation. This is what that means. And it's like, oh, you're passing opinions back and forth. It's like, okay, what kind of question should it be?
Yeah,
Ask your guest this.
Yeah. We're like Geeky the View.
Yeah.
Only with
We are
much
trying
fewer
to
women.
geeky the view. All right, so it's doing some reasoning right now. It's telling me all its reasoning. This is the newest version of GPT where it tells you the reasoning that it's
Neat.
doing. Yeah. It says, all right, so the user wants 5 questions for a discussion on the evolution of geek culture. I'll need to include questions that highlight its transition from niche to mainstream. Here is my first draft. Like,
Neat. Okay.
yeah.
God, this AI shit can be scary though.
Yeah, get it?
God damn. All right.
All right. How did geek culture start and what were the key components when it was niche? That is one of the first ones. What key cultural moments or media breakthroughs helped propel geek culture into the mainstream? I've got 3 more, but do we want to just answer one by one or do you want me to read
sure.
them all?
Ask the,
Yeah, we can
what's
answer
the,
one
what's the
by
first
one. What
one?
was the first one again?
Okay, the first one was, how did geek culture originate and what were its defining characteristics when it was primarily a niche interest?
I don't think I know the answer to that.
Well, in my opinion, geek culture has been around practically forever. There's always been an intellectual few that have been picked on by the athletic majority.
Oh, you
And
could also I'm like thinking of like
guys,
Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and their little club of writers and how they would meet
Yeah.
and just
yeah,
talk
and
about things.
the guys that were the guys that started the professional chessism and all the guys that played chess all the time and people even back in the 50s and 60s before there was this comic books were just starting and it was the geeks were always the minority that were made fun of and picked on and the butt of a lot of jokes and
It's storytelling. That's what
yeah,
we're coming up to. It started with storytelling
yeah.
because it started with authors, like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, and it started with, the dime novels, I would say even further than comic books,
Oh yeah,
the
and,
Penny Dreadful dime novels and
yeah.
different things like that. I feel like it really comes down to storytelling outside, how do I put it? Like outside of what was real at the time. It's just pushing the idea of what is real. Would you say that, whether that's sci-fi or fantasy?
People that were inspired to think creatively about topics that were considered fantastical.
Yeah, fantastical. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really cite my source here, but I understand that like before television, before movies, there was the bookworm term was sort of like you can't be one of these youths that reads for entertainment. You can't sit and read and put your head in a book too long. It'll rot your brain. And then TV, it'll rot your brain. You can't watch TV too long. It's bad for the youth. You watch too much TV, it's bad. You can't go to the cinema that often, and
Now it's you can't watch too many TikToks.
you can't play too many video games. And I think that I'd read about where the whole bookworm thing came from, where it was like if you spend too much time reading books, you won't amount to anything. And it was like any kind of obsessive entertainment or obsessive escapism would become ridiculed. And then
And
TV.
ostracized.
And it was so funny that when I learned that, I was like, I remember being told to read books instead of watching TV. And then it's like, before that, it's like people were told that they're reading too many books. And I can't even imagine being told that I'm reading too many books.
Yeah, I don't think mom would ever say that.
No.
Yeah.
No. I actually got grounded one summer and was only allowed to read books. So
Lee got in trouble from Santa and only got books and clothes for Christmas one year.
nice.
Yeah, they were on the naughty list that year.
Mm.
I forgot to include it in my nerdy thing, but I was listening. I've been waiting for the next Jim Butcher book to come out, and I was listening to some recent interviews with him where
Mm.
he talked about how he got into fantasy before he wrote Dresden Files, and he talked about how he was out of school for 2 weeks sick, like he got really ill, and his sisters bought him books, and it was the Expanded Universe Han Solo series
Nice. Okay.
and Lord of the Rings.
The Han Solo trilogy and
And that
Lord of
was
the Rings.
his
That's awesome.
introduction to fantasy.
The Han Solo trilogy is actually quite fun because it's like 5 different stories over 3 books.
Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
It might. I think they tell multiple stories during the series.
Hmm.
One of the books is 2 actual stories. I remember that much. So it's either 4 or 5 stories.
Gotcha.
And I think
They're good, but they're short stories. That's the thing.
for me, getting into reading was first it was I always wanted to read because my parents read. And then after that, I in first grade, I had a teacher that did an incentive program with reading where she had like a shop and you could buy things with the points you got. And I broke her economy because it was
Wow.
like a certain amount of points per page. So I read like The Hobbit over the weekend in first grade.
Yeah. I never had any sort of system like that, but I was a bookworm. Reading always came easy to me despite having dyslexia, which is weird because usually people are like, well, you have dyslexia, you have trouble reading, and that's not always what it is. I read just fine as long as I skip every other word. I had a teacher teach me that. But if I skip every other word, I can read just fine. And so that's how I learned how to read. So I read really fast as a kid. anybody else who has dyslexia out there, feel free to like comment on the video or get on our Patreon or whatever, Discord and talk to us about it. Because I'd love to know if anybody else out there has the same experience with dyslexia. Because Brian, you don't have dyslexia, right?
No.
And David, you don't either, do you?
I don't believe so. I was wrong about the Han Solo trilogy. It's only the 3 stories.
Very important note. Thank you.
Sorry, it bugged me. I was like, no, wait, I think I'm wrong, and I looked it up.
Very, very important note, David. Anyway, so when I was a kid, I was actually left alone a lot because my mom had to work and couldn't afford a babysitter. So like I was left home. I was a latchkey kid, like the definition of latchkey. And so my only escape was books. I was bored. I was by myself at home. We didn't have cable most of the time. We had like the 5 channels or whatever. I love PBS, by the way. As an adult, I still watch PBS. I don't care. Like when that's your like TV, that you know what I mean? So, but anyways, what I could do and what was free for, my mom, single parent that had a kid, a kid, was the library. So escapism was it, man. It was it for me. I read everything I could get my hands on. I walked to the library by myself. I checked out books by myself. And like, I'm talking in like first grade and kindergarten, like I would just go by myself. We also lived in a retirement town. Brian knows at the time it was like super safe for us to do those things by ourselves as kids. But like, yeah. So I think to the point of this question, which was where did it originate? What were the defining characteristics? I feel like we hit it on the head with it's about storytelling. Yeah. It's about fantasy. It's about escapism and the people like us that enjoy that. We enjoy that escapism to where we're not having, life's hard. Like, let's just take a minute, right, David?
Yeah.
Take a minute. Being an adult is hard.
Oh,
Life
it sucks.
Is hard.
It sucks. If I could be a kid again, I would.
Oh, 100. 100. I would be a kid again.
When you're a kid, all you want to do is grow up. And when you're an adult, you want to be a kid again.
Yes. I would be a kid again in a heartbeat. All I had to do
no
was
responsibilities. Like, yes, let's go.
Microwave hot dogs and make macaroni and cheese and read books and watch TV and play with my friends. You know what I mean? Like it was great.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's the point is like, I think what makes it niche are the people that enjoy thinking outside the box, enjoy the fantasy aspect of it, and enjoy the escapism part of it. I think that's what is really awesome. And then the second question is what key cultural moments or media breakthrough do you think helped propel geek culture into the mainstream? And
there's a ton.
There are a ton. But speaking as a Gen X borderline millennial, whatever I am, I would say I'm more Gen X than millennial by far. But being a latchkey kid and being by myself a lot, I think the cartoons and stuff of the 80s, that escapism, the superheroes, the comic books, the video games, the playing D&D, all of those things that allowed us to have something to do when our parents were off, working and stuff, right? Like that entertained us. I think now that we're adults, we still enjoy that just as much. And I think what's made it okay, David, to your point, like it was like the jocks beat up the nerds for like the longest time, right? But I think
when we met in secret.
Yeah, we met in secret. But I think the cultural shift has been that a lot of kids like me and, we're adults now and we still like the same things we liked as kids because that was what we did to entertain ourselves where, there wasn't a lot of escapism, I think, before. I think it really came to fruition in the 70s and 80s where it really became like, and in even the 90s, like superheroes, comic books, like stuff like that really started coming in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I think as our brains were developing, we enjoyed it, right? And now that we're adults, we still enjoy it. And there's money to be made because guess who has the money now?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
There's also, everything you said is right. I want to add to it.
Please.
A lot of the people who were nerds, who grew up with those nerds, grew up and had platforms where they
Mhm.
can help those things become mainstream, like
Yeah.
Matt Mercer.
Yeah, as these
Um,
people that grew in fame get more widely known, the what they do becomes widely better accepted. And then when Hollywood picks it up and starts making they made Dungeons and Dragons movies before, and they were
And
always terrible.
they were
They were
horrible.
always terrible. They had
Yeah.
good people in them, but they were still terrible. And then
Yeah.
they finally gets mainstream enough to where they attract decent writers. No offense to the guys that made the movies before, but the latest one was amazing. And that garnered so much attention to at least the tabletop role-playing game that their sales and numbers skyrocketed.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
it
then
got
you've got big celebrities that love playing too, that are not ashamed to say that they play, D&D
Yeah,
and
and
stuff
not
like that.
every nerd does. It's just it's bringing
Yeah.
more light into the culture itself. So as it's more exposed, it becomes more widely accepted, and it's getting to the point of where it's not taboo anymore, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
Because there's a
what's
lot,
his
it's been taboo for a very long time.
It has.
we
It's very
also
much been taboo. But then we have, people like the guy that plays Superman. I can't remember his name, but I can see his face.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Thank you. Henry Cavill talking about Warhammer
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
reading the Witcher books and, things he truly loves that, again, is outside of D&D.
Yeah,
But I feel like D&D was a really strong pathway and comic books were a
yeah.
really strong
Oh
pathway.
yeah,
Where now we can branch.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe was amazing for what
Yeah.
it did to bring the comic book world mainstream.
because a lot of the
Agreed.
people that a lot of the studio interference was done by people who were familiar with the comics.
Yeah.
They were allowed to be done and done well, and they brought so much attention to it. It's comic book reading, and that side of nerddom as well is also very mainstream now.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in noticing that a lot of people who dislike comic book movies before comic book movies meant mainstream is because they changed so much. The Deadpool comics, there is no Deadpool comic that is anything like the movie.
No,
The movie got the essence of the character, but
Yeah.
the
but
comic
did
book
its own
character
thing.
Deadpool is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but the guy who voiced Deadpool in the video game did a much better job of being comic accurate Deadpool. Who was it? Deadpool video game voice. Nolan North.
Yeah, I grew up in the early. I came of age in the early '90s when, and my neighbors. I grew up in a neighborhood where there was like 8 or 6 or 7 families all in the neighborhood. All of us kids got together, and we were a crew. We ran to, that was what we did. We were all friends, and we went to each other's houses all the time. And my one neighbor had a Nintendo. My other neighbor had a Super Nintendo. We had an Atari, and I grew up playing video games. And that was my introduction to nerd culture. Was I got into playing video games. I got to start playing role-playing games there. I then got introduced to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And then when I was 13, my uncle took me to a gaming convention, and I fell in love with gaming of all kinds. And my mom took me to see Star Wars for the first time when the re-release came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I've been a diehard Star Wars fan ever since.
I think the re-release of Star Wars, the special edition, was one of the first time I experienced fan backlash.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't notice the Han Solo thing. I didn't notice. So
I had never seen it before, so for me that was Star Wars.
Yeah, and I had, but honestly, when I saw A New Hope in the theater on the re-release, it might as well have been the first time. I was too small to really remember anything the first time I saw Star Wars.
No.
Yeah.
Well, my mom was always a
remembered-
sci-fi fan. She watched the original
Yeah.
Star Trek. She, was always watching the old TV shows. And like I said, she's the one that took me to see Star Wars. She's like, "You're gonna like this. Come with me." I was like, "Okay, let's go."
My earliest movie memories are drive-through for one, or drive-in. I mean, not drive-through. Drive-through movie theater. Drive-in. The first one would be Superman 3. The second one would be Empire Strikes Back, which would have been the 80s re-release.
Mm.
And then Jedi, but I saw E.T. at the drive-in before Jedi.
Okay.
And I know drive-ins were sort of on their way out when I was a kid, but
I've
I
been to
hadn't.
a drive-in theater. It's only once or twice, and
When I was small, it was the only place we went to the movies because
oh,
my
fair.
aunt worked at the drive-in.
Nice. Okay, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
then not to my next memories are the drive-in theater was closed. That was my next memories. And
Yeah.
yeah. And then my next movie memory was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I only remember the nerdy movies. I know I
Mm.
saw other movies when I was a kid, but I only remember those.
The first movie I remember seeing in a theater was Batman.
Mm.
I don't know who took me to see it. I think it was Chuck. I think Chuck took me and Andy to see it.
Yeah.
Maybe Matt went. But it was like, what, 89 or something like that? And it was like the first time I remember being in a movie theater and seeing the original Batman.
Earliest one I remember was Fern Gully, I think. Yeah.
I
Oh, I
also
remember Fern
remember.
Gully.
Oh, I remember Fern Gully.
Yeah.
I was
And
very
then
excited.
after
We
that
saw
I
that we were in New
saw
Mexico.
then after that we saw pretty much all the Disney movies that came out.
Yeah. Fern Gully was fantastic. I
It
don't
was
feel
great.
like
It's
Fern
that's
Gully
the
got
earliest.
enough
I think
attention.
that was the earliest movie memory I have, and we saw it at the cheap theater when it came after it had been out for a while. So, because there
But
was
I
a $3 back then in the '90s, there was a $3 theater in Long
Yeah,
Beach. So
yeah.
we'd go there because we'd see
E-
whatever was playing.
Even though I saw Empire when I was small, the only thing I really remember was seeing the AT-ATs on the drive-in screen.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
The Star Wars movie I remember the entire movie seeing when I was little was Jedi.
Ewoks. Gotcha.
Honestly, Jabba. Jabba stuck in my mind the
Oh.
most.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Ewoks and I liked the Ewoks, but the Ewoks weren't my favorite part of the movie. Jabba was.
Jabba Nobody.
Specifically the Gamorreans. I loved the Gamorreans when I was little,
The piggies.
I
and
think
then I made the orc
we went-
connection later.
we went to the drive-in a lot when I was a kid too. Chuck took us in the back of his truck, and I think the first movie I remember seeing in the drive-in was The Addams Family.
Nice.
We saw The Addams Family, and we also saw Jurassic Park in the drive-in. Death Becomes Her. We saw that. It was like a double feature. We got to see that in there. Have either of you ever seen
Do
that?
you like Death Becomes Her?
Me?
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. As a kid, I thought it was great.
My memories of it are polluted by the fact that my mom hated that movie.
Why'd she hate it?
What is my mom's opinion of any movie she doesn't like? It was stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know
It was stupid.
I don't know
was
any
stupid.
nuance. I don't know any detail. I just know that that was what she said because that was the only explanation I ever got.
All
Was
I
it's
remember
stupid.
okay, I haven't seen it as an adult, don't get me wrong, but as a kid, through kid Erica eyes, I remember seeing it, and I remember Meryl Streep's head gets like twisted around because she can't die.
Oh yeah, and she like picks it up.
Yeah, and I was like, that's so cool. I mean, I'm a kid. I was like, this is so cool.
I remember.
That's what I remember.
I remember when I was a kid, we were me and my cousins were going to go to the movies, and I remember I wanted to see a specific movie really bad, and we weren't going to go see that. I don't remember what the movie was, but I remember being disappointed because we were going to go see Ghost, and I remember feeling I don't want to see this movie. This is going to be awful. And then we see Ghost, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And I remember that memory of how good Ghost was.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg was amazing. She was good.
I think it was because the commercials for Ghost were pretty much just the pottery scene.
Yeah, the romance part of it. Yeah, that was the part I hated the most of Ghost, of course. Whoopi Goldberg was great.
Oh my God. That just brought back a memory. Okay.
But
We used to rent movies. The library in Long Beach when I used to live in Long Beach as a kid. They used to rent VHS tapes.
yeah.
So we would always rent movies from them all the time. And my one neighbor was obsessed with the movie Newsies and borrowed it we borrowed it like for like 4 months straight.
Oh man, that's funny.
Wore out the tape.
That's funny.
Apparently, I've seen that movie so many goddamn times.
I remember we saw Casper in the drive-in too with the
Hmm.
Christina Ricci. I was like, I love this movie.
I
I thought
remember
it was
seeing
cool.
Casper at a drive-in out here. Or in the early '90s, there were still a couple of drive-in theaters that operated in Southern California, and sadly, most of them are gone now.
Are they all gone now? Because
I think so. I
we
think
used to
there.
go to one
I
in
think there's one way out in the sticks that still operates, but it's way out in the sticks.
there was one. I'd have to ask my mom where it was, but it wasn't too awful far. But it was going inland from San Jacinto. I remember that we were going
Oh
inland
yeah,
towards
that's
Riverside.
way the fuck out there.
The
Yeah,
Van
that's
Buren Drive-In in Riverside?
yes.
Yeah,
That's still going.
I don't know, but from where I live, that's way the fuck out
Still
there.
open.
Still
Still
open?
open,
Nice.
yeah. Right
Good
Yeah.
for
now they're
them. That's where we
playing
saw all of our
Yeah,
movies.
but that's like a 3-hour drive here.
right now they're
So,
playing Captain America Brave New World and the Monkey.
yeah, no thanks.
Oh, and Paddington in Peru and Hard Eyes.
Yeah, I'm good.
I want to
Surprisingly,
see the Monkey.
Paddington movies are good. I want to see the monkey too.
I don't like horror movies. Enjoy it.
I know, David. Nobody thought you were going to want to see it.
Have you read the Monkey, Erica?
Yeah.
You've read Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
I've only listened to a couple of stories from Skeleton Crew. I haven't gone through the whole thing.
Oh.
I've listened to all the ones that I've watched adaptations for, and then when I heard the Monkey was coming out in theaters, I was like, I'm gonna listen to that one.
I mean, that's another part of nerddom that's been exploding recently is the horror culture.
Oh, that's true.
Most
'Cause a
people
lot
that
of
are
us-
into the horror stuff are very, very nerdy.
A lot of us grew up with going to the video store and seeing all those covers.
Yeah.
I love that. That was the best part. I think that our kids miss that a lot today. Like, I get that you can kind of do that on digital, but like,
I
there
was
was
kind of the
something
last generation
crazy.
that really did video stores.
I watched a documentary on New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
New Line Cinema is the studio that was built by Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And I watched a documentary on them, and if home video rental didn't exist, they wouldn't have succeeded because
I
all of basically
Oh, yeah.
somebody at New Line was like, I have a vision. I know about this new technology. Let's lean into it. And that's why they succeeded.
Yep.
I mean, walking into the video store and you had like the new releases and then the horror section, and you would just pick whichever movie like the cover looked like the scariest. Like you didn't read the back, it didn't matter. It was like which of these pictures look the scariest, and that's the video you pick.
That image on the Evil Dead 2, the image on the Evil Dead 2 cover, it was just a skull with eyes, and I was like, "Oh, that looks really scary."
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised that it's not scary at all.
I remember
I just remember laughing so hard watching Bruce Campbell beat the shit out of himself. And then when I saw Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I think I was the only person in the audience who got the reference when Bruce Campbell punches himself in the face and was like, "This is great."
you're not the only person that got it. I died laughing.
I was the only person in the theater watching it that day that got it because I'm laughing loud and nobody else was.
Oh man, I laughed. I laughed so hard at all like Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I laughed like jokes that a lot of people didn't get in the movie. Like I'm
Oh,
sitting there laughing.
I laughed that entire movie. I never stopped. That movie was
I
a
know,
fucking
but there
baby.
were several movies where somebody said something and I just started laughing like at the top of my lungs, and everybody around me was staring at me like they didn't understand why it was funny. And I was like, it's so funny, you don't get it. Oh, I saw that movie 3 times in a week when it came out. I was like, this is too good. I gotta see it again. What did I miss? I know I missed stuff because I was laughing so hard at the other stuff.
I saw it twice myself.
Yeah, it was so good. That was I know they're done, but it was perfect.
Oh, it was great.
Excellent way to bow out. Love it. Oh, but I think everything we've been talking about is exactly right? About like key cultural moments that we like broke through all of this, where studios start taking comic book movies seriously. And, we started, Batman had a great, Tim Burton's Batman, like really, I think kicked off a big part in mainstream, like when that became so successful. But then they kept trying to reboot it and they were making it worse. And then people lost faith, I think, in what a comic book movie could be.
Oh yeah, they didn't have any good ones for a very long time. They tried.
Yeah, they
I mean,
tried.
they
And
tried.
then I would say
Hell, they
Tobey
got
Maguire.
they got Shaq to play one.
Yeah, and then like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I think it started up again. They started doing well again. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then they finally rebooted Batman in a good way, right? And then Iron Man came. And I think that was
Yeah, Iron Man's where it exploded.
it did. It exploded there. And I think it exploded because you finally had somebody that understood the content, understood the message of the
And
content.
did it justice.
And did it justice. Exactly. To where the fans were happy. And, everybody was able, and then it got mainstream. And then it just started snowballing from there. And then like the studio saw, hey, if we do these right, if we put people that actually love this content.
And then it started the rash of television series. And it's blown up. It's completely blown up. It revitalized the whole comic book industry. It brought everything with life where there wasn't. It pumped life into something that has been puttering on as it could. It finally gave it some actual life.
Because they realize when you put people that love the content in charge of making content, you get good content. You get good shows, you get good movies. Is everyone going to be a 10 out of 10? No. But that's every movie in general.
Yeah.
Are you still going to get some good ones, some enjoyment? Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, Marvel movies now are expected to make a certain amount no matter how good they are. So
yeah. I know. Sony's struggling. Sony's still trying to find like the magic sauce. And what I think they don't have and they can't get is they have too many people that don't love the product in the mix. You are trying to make a movie for the masses when you should be making a movie for the fans. Because when you make a movie for the fans, you're going to make a movie that people are going to enjoy, whether or not they're fans to begin with.
Yeah, but as far as their economics look, they don't see it that way, unfortunately.
I know they don't. But you think that they would learn from Marvel. Marvel has showed that when you do it for the fans, everybody else comes along.
I'm not a studio exec. I kind of wish I was sometimes, but I'm not.
I know. So, but yeah, no, I think there's a lot of key cultural moments. I think famous people speaking up about being nerds and loving nerd culture. I think, people just being more accepting of it. And I think the biggest part, like I said at the beginning, is the people like Brian and I and David, like we grew up with this, we loved it, and now we have money. And now you can take our money if you give us what we want. And that's what it comes down to.
Yep. There is always a bit of shut up and take my money when certain things come around.
Yeah.
The idea of adult money and getting adult things is like we had that conversation. Heather and I had that conversation when it was like, I want to get a parrot. And I was like, congratulations, you're an adult. You can do that.
My favorite is, I forget what I was talking about with Marcus one time, but I said something and he goes, congratulations, you are an adult. You can do that. You know what else you can do? You can eat cereal for dinner because you're a fucking adult and you can fucking do that.
Yep. There's absolutely nothing stopping you.
Marcus is the perfect example of I have adult money, I can do whatever the fuck I want with it.
What?
Marcus is the perfect example of I have adult money and I can do whatever I want with it. Going to toy stores before they open, getting covered in nerdy tattoos.
Nice.
Getting the crayon drawing from Deadpool before the movie came out from the trailer, from the leaked trailer, from the test footage.
Yeah, that's a tattoo on his arm. Because he's loved Deadpool for so long. He
That's
got that
crazy.
from the leaked footage, took it to his tattoo artist, and said, "This right here." And
Wow.
Before the movie came out.
before the movie came
Wow,
out.
that's crazy.
Yeah, he had to have been very pleasantly happy that they actually used that same image in the movie.
Yes, yes. You know,
Because
and
then he would have
you're
had
right.
two crayon drawings.
Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah, he Marcus is a perfect example. Like he spends his money on toys. Like he loves action figures. He collects them. He has so many. And like Brian said, like he knows which stores are getting which limited edition action figures, and he's there when they first open in the morning to get them. Or he's there if it's a Walmart and it's open 24 hours.
Hmm.
He's there at 2 in the morning knowing that they're about to stock the shelf. Like he has the adult money, so he does it.
And the free time to be able to live like that, which is awesome.
Yeah, he's a movie theater manager, so like he works
Nice.
until 2 in the morning anyway. So
Nice.
For
yeah,
over 20 years.
for over 20
Awesome.
years, yeah.
Very cool.
So, but yeah, I mean, we have money now. And unlike other people, I think we can all agree, like, this generation of adults, we don't need to have the fanciest car. We don't need to have the nicest, biggest house on the block. We don't have to have the most expensive TV. I think where other adult generations, it was always like competing with the Joneses. And I don't feel that. Brian, do you feel that?
No.
No. David?
Nope,
No. So I
not
think
anymore. Yeah.
we're built differently. We're our extra money, we want cool shit. Give us video games. Give us movies.
I
Give
think
us
there is a tiny bit of like keeping up with the Joneses. Like if I get invited to a party and someone has something that it's like, wow, I didn't know I was expected to have that as an adult. I might have that thought, but then I go home and enjoy the crap I have.
Oh yeah.
Like I might have that thought. Like it, you know, I would love to have a few things I don't have, but you know, maybe I might have
like
those. Like I
what?
mean, you know, we've thrown around the idea of having a
If you say
property,
pizza oven.
huh?
I said if you say pizza oven. No.
I
Oh,
mean,
I've
my family has owned outdoor pizza ovens before, so that's something I've experienced. It's not that big of a deal.
over the years I have spent so much money on gaming shit that I will never use.
I,
My God,
I
the
mean,
amount of gaming shit I have in my covered patio area that is not very well organized and I need to clean up is amazing. So much shit. I've wasted thousands of dollars on stuff that will probably never get used.
you know
Like
what?
what?
I've looked.
I've got miniatures for games that no one plays.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That kind of stuff. I got you. Okay.
I
All right.
spent like $600 buying figures for the Starship Troopers miniatures game. I've never seen anyone ever play it. I have no one to play with.
That's fair. I'm sorry,
oh,
David.
I bought what's the game I have all the Lords of Waterdeep games and we've never played them.
I love that game. That
Oh,
game's
it's great.
Yeah, no, my board games
Played
get
Lords of Waterdeep. I liked it.
You know,
my board games get played. I've got miniature shit that I've spent thousands of dollars on over the years. It'll
David,
never.
I do have to say you are partially at fault that we've never played a lot of the games we own. Because we get people together and we only play Epic Battle
Fair.
Wizards.
Well,
And
'cause
you
it's- well,
introduced me to that.
when the problem with other games though is when you have 6 or 8 people, you have to play something light like that because otherwise it would take all night, and B, it takes a lot to have a lot of people play large scale miniatures games.
Well, it's
And not
like
everyone has
we have a
that
lot
much
of the
stuff.
games we really like. We played Clank at a con, so we bought Clank. We've never played it because the setup time is a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Clank. Oh, by the way, Clank came out as a video game and you can play it on. It's
Oh,
fun.
nice.
It's just like playing board game.
That's awesome.
We should use ChatGPT every week
Yeah,
because
this is
that
great.
evolved into a great conversation. But now that we're in wrap up time,
Wait, Brian, you still didn't tell us what you wanted that you don't have.
oh, I want baking stone. I don't have one. Like what your dad used to have.
A baking stone's $20. Go get a fucking baking stone.
I don't know where to get them.
Go to find a Chef
TJ
Mart or
Maxx.
something, or TJ Maxx. Yeah.
Marshalls. They're $20. Go get a fucking baking stone, dude.
Any place that sells kitchen stuff.
Yeah.
I never see them at the store.
Target.
You look.
Target has
What
them.
store are you looking at?
You look online and they're all super expensive. But if you I'd never seen them at a store.
Yeah, they're like at Target. They're not expensive, dude.
I thought they were expensive. Oh, wow, look again.
No.
If you want to buy like an artisan one or
Yeah,
something,
I mean, you can spend 50, 70, $80 on one, but I
Because
mean,
I want to
one
make
cup
I
is
want to
20
make those
bucks.
sandwiches I used to make at your dad's apartment.
Yeah. Baking, I like baking sodas. They're nice.
All right, so we always do a little off-topic thing before we finish. I will share the recipe for the sandwich I used to make at Erica's dad's apartment.
nice.
So we would preheat the baking stone and put sourdough bread with you make a portobello mushroom in the microwave. What you do is you stick it in a Ziploc bag and you add liquid smoke to the Ziploc bag. You stick it in the microwave for 30 seconds and you flip it and do it another 30 seconds. And you take the portobello mushroom out of the Ziploc bag, which cooked perfectly because it does. It's so weird. You don't have
Yeah,
to
it's
steam it. You
steamed.
don't have to do anything. You make it for a minute in the microwave.
Yeah.
You steam it in a Ziploc bag, and you don't poke holes in the Ziploc bag. You seal that sucker. It'll pop, but it comes out better. So you should probably put it on a plate or put a paper towel over it, because it will make the microwave messy. And then you stick that on on the slice of sourdough. You put them both on the baking stone, and you put Asiago cheese on top of that. You stick it in the oven and then let it cook for like 3-4 minutes. It's like 400 degrees. You could even broil it. But then you put the second piece of bread on it, you flip it, you put it back in the oven and let get the little sear on it, and then you take it out, and it's a really, really, really good sandwich.
You forgot the slaw sauce.
Oh yeah, you put slaw sauce on it. You get Mexican slaw sauce,
Fuck is slaw sauce?
like coleslaw sauce.
Yeah, coleslaw sauce.
What? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, look it up.
I've
It's-
never heard of that.
It's basically mayo with some vinegar in it. It's like
Yeah.
mayo and apple cider vinegar. You can just use mayo and apple cider vinegar, but it's basically that. It's got
Okay.
some sugar in it too. It's similar to Miracle Whip, but it tastes
No.
different.
It doesn't sound great. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very good. It
It's
doesn't
not
sound good when
sweet
you put
like
it that
Miracle
way,
Whip.
Dave.
I don't like vinegar. So
It's not sweet like I'm sure there are foods that have vinegar in them that you like, because there's a crap ton of
in
foods.
little bits, yes.
Like, do
but-
you like
Yeah,
Tabasco?
it doesn't taste
No, I
vinegary,
don't.
David.
Okay. It doesn't taste vinegary at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll
It
give
tastes
it a
like
shot.
coleslaw, but without the coleslaw. Do you
I'll
like
give it a
coleslaw?
shot. Kind of. I mean, it depends on where it's from.
Are you familiar with the taste of apple cider vinegar? Because it's a very different flavor than most vinegar.
Yes.
Okay.
You're not
My
like-
dad has a great story about how when he was a little kid, he grabbed a bottle of apple cider vinegar off the shelf, opened it, and started chugging, think it was apple cider, and he threw up in the grocery store.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I ate an entire jar of pickles.
Mm.
Like, a full fucking jar. I ate the entire thing, and I was sick for days.
Oh.
To the point of where the vinegar and pickle, just my body immediately rejects.
Oh, that's so sad. I used to eat entire jars of pickles by
So,
myself all the time.
Yeah,
I loved it.
no, I will immediately nope out of something if there's pickle on it.
Can you
Yeah.
do Bubby's pickles?
No,
They're not made with vinegar.
I've never had one.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, FYI.
Yeah, and so it's just, most pickled things, nope.
Yeah, there's
Sorry,
two schools of thought with pickles. There's the ones that are soaked in vinegar, and there's the ones that are soaked in brine that has no vinegar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like both.
Yeah.
I like
I just-
I like everything pickled.
I just there
I like-
was I hated I hated doing it because we were at a function and they had these buns, and one of them was a cheeseburger bun, and I didn't know which was which, so I picked it up and bit right into it, and there was a pickle in the middle of it, and I damn near threw up.
Oh man, I'm so sorry, dear.
I will share something
I
that
had to spit it out. I damn near threw up. That was
I
terrible.
can't do egg salad, and I couldn't tell you why, because I can eat hard-boiled eggs. But the one that's weird, the one that's similar to me to you, David, is I can't have cream cheese on a cinnamon raisin bagel. Because I ate one, I got one sent to lunch with me at school, and I happened to get the flu on the same day,
Oh shit!
and
Your body associated the two. And,
Yep. And now if I smell, look at, or take a bite of a cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese, I will immediately get sick.
Yep.
Plus, you have celiac.
Well, I can't. Yeah, I can't. It would have to be gluten free, obviously. What's like for example, I wouldn't be able to make the same recipe of baking stone sandwich that I came up with back in the day, but I have gluten-free sourdough bread in my house right now.
Sounds like you need a fucking baking stone, dude. Go get
Yeah.
one.
I mean, I don't generally eat real dairy cheese either. I
Do you guys-
generally get non-dairy cheese.
Do you guys have like a Bed Bath and Beyond or something up there? I guarantee they have them there.
No.
Interesting.
Go to Marshall's or TJ Maxx. I'm
Yeah.
sure you will find one.
All the Bed Baths and Beyond's closed here.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
And they've kind of closed everywhere.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought that I didn't realize they'd gone
If you
under.
go to overstock.com, though, it's Bed Bath and Beyond now.
Oh, good
It is.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think we should do this again. I
Yeah,
will
this is great.
brainstorm some episode titles, but
No,
yeah,
that's actually worked out quite well.
nerd culture has evolved. I'd love to spend some time researching this and come back to it because there's so many layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there was a joke that I was gonna make that I didn't make, and I will share it in the bonus episode.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
It is a joke that you would have had to listen to the podcast for a long time to get because it's a reference.
Ew,
Gotta love
ew. ChatGPT just gave us the title of the episode, Brian.
Ooh, what is
Oh
it?
God, let me write it down.
Oh, come on, let's do this. Yeah.
From niche to now, the evolution of geek culture.
Ooh, that's good.
Ew.
That's good. Fuck.
Oh, and disclaimer, and I'll probably include this in the description. We do not support AI taking jobs away from writers and
No,
stuff.
no,
I
absolutely not.
I 100% support it being used as a tool by creators, but it should never be used to exploit content
100%.
creators. And AI is causing huge damage to the content creation market right now.
I hate it so much.
But every technology has those arguments, and I think they can be used for good and not evil.
I think so too.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by them in any way. So.
Yeah, no, we are not. So this has been us, Nerd Podcast Radio. I was Super Vegan Brian, joined by, I'm reading the script by ChatGPT right now. I have to do it right.
God damn it.
I was joined by David, the Bald the Third,
Bye, everybody.
and Kersey Smurfarka.
Bye.
Stay nerdy, stay informed, and stay. Oh, by the way, if you want to watch this on video, watch it on
Awesome.
patreon.com/Nerd Podcast Radio.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to our nerd show. Podcast Radio.